All right, so I've hung up any poster board, small or short, bigger, small, I should say. There's also some foam board down here, so hopefully this will make it easier to get to. There is bulletin board paper if you ever need something, a long string of something to have the kids do a mural on or something. There's that there. So I've gotten rid of all this stuff that was in here. So one of the main things that I wanted to show you was better access to the flannel graph. So if you haven't used the flannel graph, I would just encourage you to, because it's just so such an engaging way to teach a lesson. So if you're not familiar with it, underneath the table there is a book that has all of the pictures and the stories that are imaged within the Betty Lukens flannel graph. So this is going to make it so much easier to get to, because before we had it stacked over here and it was just really hard to get to. So I encourage you, if you are teaching a lesson that would be a fun one to use pictures with. You know, recently I used it with talking about Jesus walking on the water, and so the kids just can use those flannel graph pictures then to retell the story. So if you ever want to do any science experiments, feel free to use my lab coat. There's half or short pool noodles up here if you ever need any of those. We used those just a few weeks ago. I cut some in half and used them like we were walking on the water. That was really fun. So I have moved all of the storage bins over to this side of the closet now. When you come in, this is what you see when you come in. So y'all are going to think I'm crazy, but you know I love my labeler. So I've labeled all these, and these are in alphabetical order, because I know sometimes you come in and it's like trying to find something, and it's so easy to look over a container. So there's bags, clothespins, cookie cutters for using Play-Doh. There's tons of craft sticks. These are name tags. That's mainly for VBS, but tons of paintbrushes. There's pipe cleaners, there's pom-poms, Q-tips, rulers. There's a bunch of different office supplies in here if you ever need rubber bands or push pins or things like that. Here's a container of push pins, actually. If you ever need a filler for time, I have some pink bingo boards here, and all of the call cards and the markers and everything. So there's different seasons in there. Then there's one that's just a BIBLE. So feel free to use that. Tissue paper if you're using a craft. There's two magnetic boards here, and some magnetic letters. It'd be fun to maybe do a word that you're doing for Sunday school or children's church, and have the kids unscramble the letters and see if they can figure out what the word is. So down here, there's just miscellaneous craft supplies. I've found all sorts of things, but like this would make a garden scene. These were left over from a frozen lock-in that we did. But there's all sorts of just various things down here, like eyes and ribbon and door knocker hangers. And so if you ever need any just odds and ends craft supplies, there's quite a few things in there. Then these are not alphabetized because there were too many. It's too hard to organize them because they were. But these are the Gospel Fuzzy gloves. If you're not familiar with the song, I'd be glad to teach it to you, but it's a great way to teach the gospel to preschoolers. There's glue sticks and liquid glue, tons of it in here. So but be sure, you know, make sure that the kids put the lids back on, obviously, to keep it from drying out. Colored paper, there's white paper. We have enough scissors. I think we'll give one to every person in the church. So lots of scissors. There's pencils here. There's a container in here that is just colored pencils, and then there's just also just regular pencils, tons of them in there if you need some pencils. A couple of holders there if you need those. Crayons, markers. These are just beads, different types of beads. Large construction paper. This is a fun little pocket envelope if you're going to do like put a word in there, the keyword for the day. Fun way to hide that. This is where the chalk is now, there. And then these are all just pretty much, this is all party stuff: balloons, streamers, ribbon. This is just basically party supplies. There's some party hats in here. A birthday hat if somebody's having a birthday, candles, paper. And then down there is bulletin board trim, which we really don't have any bulletin boards anymore. So there's some glow sticks, marbles. There are a ton of just odds and ends giveaway things. If you want to have a prize, sometimes you're playing a game and you need some prizes, there's tons of stuff in here, so feel free to use any of those. These are those kind of squishy balls if you ever want to use that for a game. I guess it's that way. Different faces on there, so there's a few of those. And then there's some test tubes if you're doing any type of science experiments that you need those. Up here's there's staples, hole puncher, tape, different kinds of tape. There's masking, or well, I don't know if there's masking tape, but there's painter's tape, duct tape, regular Scotch tape. These are just some odds and end things, so just look in there. If you need something, let me know. I know what's in there. Lots of different paint. There's some flannel, there's yarn, there's different types of rope, twine, fishing line in there. We do have some different games. I got rid of some of them, but kept the ones that I thought we might use sometime. For craft items, there are some extra craft tubes. There's quite a few cotton balls, and there's a few styrofoam balls in here if you ever need. I didn't get rid of those, so these are very expensive to buy those. So there's bubbles, lots of bubbles. Preschoolers love bubbles. Balloon weights, any of the balloon equipment there. So we have a container, and I actually got rid of a ton of puppets, but there are a lot of really cute puppets in here. And then I guess you all have seen my little, actually it's not little, it's pretty big, Theo's, it says Fido, but this little guy is called Theo. And if you ever, for those of you who are teaching children's church, if you're ever doing the preschool lesson or a teaching, you can go to the preschool lesson. It has a puppet skit in there, and it's often really cute. So it's, especially since we have a lot of younger kids now, so that would be a fun thing to do. So these are just different things that I themed together from all of the different decoration things that we did for KFC. If somebody ever needed a theme for a trunk or treat, or if we did that for Easter, there's a lot of different just bags of, like, one's construction, there's one for theater, movie night, there's just all sorts of things that I just bagged together. So, and then this container has blocks in it, and I forgot that we had these. The youth were using these back when Alex and Allie were leading the youth, but I think they use these like Jenga. But if you ever need something, like recently, or not recently, but within the past year or so, I needed some blocks for one of the lessons I was doing and totally forgot that we had these. So that would be fun for the Wall of Jericho or any other type of game that had a maybe teamwork. So anyway, that is kind of just a general look at everything. If there's ever something that you need, there's a few pinatas up there. Just feel free to text me and ask me, do we have such and so, and I can pretty much tell you everything that's in here. That's Christmas decorations up there. There's some handbells if anybody's feeling musical. Popcorn machine, and that works, and it works well, so you could always have popcorn one day. So these are all the nursery snacks here. So anyway, just wanted to give you a little tour, and we are blessed with a ton of supplies, so just feel free to use whatever's here. Thank you all.